Hey there guys and girls, StrydIKfinal here with Animator. Today I'd like to show you how I assign an IK chain to a character in Animator. So let's get started. First off, how do we assign an IK chain in Animator? Here's a simple figure of 6 bones in a line. Left click the first bone and then right click the last bone. Now go Build, Add IK Chain. That's it, IK Chain 1 is created. To see our new IK chain in action, we'll need to go to either the sequence or the scene editor. Here we are in the scene editor and I've imported our figure ready to go. Make sure the 2 IK buttons are on and then select the chain by clicking on either the little box or onto the last bone in the chain. We can click and drag on either of these when we want to bend the chain. In this example, we've left the bone rotation limits at their default, which is complete freedom of movement on all 3 axes. And that'll work fine for like a wriggly snake or an 8-legged octopus thing or a small tree in the wind. But today we're going to add simple IK chains to a 2-legged human type figure. To do this we'll need to start by adding some bone rotation limits. Limiting the movement and rotations of the limbs of a humanoid type figure is absolutely necessary if you would like your character to move in a way which looks natural for a human being. I'm going to use Freud for Freud. You said you wouldn't move, mate. Please. You're in figure mode. You can't move. Freud, do you want to do this? Alright then, stay still and let's get started. By clicking on the Show Axis button, a coloured representation is shown of the movements available for each selected bone. As we can see by the coloured axis showing here, Freud already has some limits assigned to these bones. The X-axis is shown in green, the Y in blue, and the Z-axis is shown in violet. Setting bone movement limits in Animator is as simple as double-clicking on the bone to bring up the bone editor. Here we can enter our minimum and maximum values into our X, Y and Z axis. We'll just take note of the values from one side of Freud and use the same values on his other side. So the values here in his right arm will be the same for his left arm, and the legs and feet will also share their same values. Some of the numbers I'm showing you here can be a bit restricting in some cases, but are a fairly safe place to start. These values can be changed at a later time if you feel that your character could use either more or less flexibility in those joints. I'm going to speed things up a bit. So hit the pause button and copy these numbers down and add them to the character that you're planning to animate. Here we go. So we're just finishing this foot. I've already done the other side, so I'm all set here, and it's time to add some IK chains to previously FK only Freud. Okay, IK chains are simple to add. Select the first bone with the left mouse button and the next bone with the right mouse button. Now go to Build, Add IK Chain. OK. And that's it. Your first IK chain's created. See that little box there? Well, push the A on the keyboard for select and select that little box. Now press M on the keyboard so we can move that little box up out of Freud's arm. Press S on your keyboard for scale, drag and we'll scale that little box. Left mouse button, right mouse button, Build, Add IK Chain, OK. Made. Go and find that little box. It's worth moving these little boxes because you can grab those when you're animating. So put them somewhere where they're easy to get at and scale them just a little bit bigger using the scale tool. Onto his torso, which in this case will be made up of these 3 bones here. So left click on the first bone, right click on the last bone, build, add IK chain, magic. I'm creating IK chains in Freud's arms, torso, legs and feet. His fingers can also safely contain small IK chains for each finger, as long as the proper rotation restrictions are put in place. I'm leaving Freud's neck and wrists out of any IK chains. An arm can be moved into position easily as an IK chain, but placing his hand in the exact rotation and position required can be more easily done using a normal one-bone rotation of his wrist once the arm is where you want it. The same can be said for his neck. The body may move one way, but his head may be facing a completely different angle, so controlling this separately is more easily done with typical FK rotate bone tool movement. So we're up to the feet now, just putting this last one in here. To delete an IK chain, double click on the IK controller of that chain and press delete. Now I'll put that one back just as quickly as deleting it. The proper name for the little box is the IK controller, and the shape which shows at the end of a chain when it is selected is called the end effector. Either one can be used to move the chain. The shortcut keys for changing between IK and FK animation are I for IK and Shift R for rotate bone. These shortcut keys mean you can flick quickly between IK and FK mode for when you want to move the wrists or the head and any fine tweaking that you may need to do to any individual bone. Put these bottom controllers up above the feet so they don't get lost under the floor that your character might be walking on. There we go. Freud is now the proud owner of a partial IK setup, which is fun and easy to use, makes animating a whole lot faster, and in combination with the already existing FK system allows a more fluent and enjoyable control on the movement and animation of your characters. And it looks like Freud has about had enough for today, so we'll sign off here and see you at... Hey, hang on, Freud. That's okay, we'll catch him in scene mode. There he is. Hey, Freud, how are you feeling now with your new partial IK setup? Well, I can tell that Freud is happy whenever he starts dancing. But unfortunately, once he starts, he'll just ignore everything else. So all we can do now is just leave him to it. Okay, animators, we're out of time now for today. So see you at animator.com. Be there or be square.